This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. Welcome along. First of all, apologies for there not being a USA review or a Wales preview episode. As I mentioned in the previous episode, I did have some pre-planned personal commitments that I was never going to be in a position to do a USA review Wales preview one justice. So yeah, sorry about that, but welcome along, welcome back. Here we are. Now we can look back on Wales and towards Senegal. But before we do that, just wanted to mention something. If England's 0-0 against USA surprised you, and I read a lot online, Twitter and the like, obviously with people getting frustrated with it, perhaps you haven't been watching England hard enough. Before you go getting frustrated, perhaps it's time to revisit your England history books. 0-0 is probably one of our most common World Cup results. Let me take you through them. 1958, Brazil, 0-0. 1962, Bulgaria, 0-0. 1966, Uruguay, 0-0. I don't need to remind you what happened that year. 1982, slightly different way they done the World Cup that year. 2 round of 16 games we had. One against West Germany, one against Spain. They both ended 0-0. 1986, Morocco, 0-0. 1990, Netherlands, 0-0. Nigeria in 2002, 0-0. 2006 in the quarter-finals, Portugal, 0-0. We obviously lost that one on penalties. 2010, Algeria, 0-0. And 2014, Costa Rica, have a guess, 0-0. So, coupled with the USA game, that is 12 0-0 World Cup draws that England have had since 1958. I don't know, perhaps next time, just think before we go getting frustrated. Maybe next time, put a couple of quid on a 0-0. But obviously I understand the frustration with the performance. But having been to Nigeria in 2002 and Algeria in 2010, of course, I get the frustration, especially if you've been there for a 0-0 all that way. Now, as I've done in the previous episode, just a few observations that I thought I'd like to mention. These stats that occasionally pop up on the telly. Total reception, forced turnovers. What are these? Are these relevant? This feels like a touch of the American footballs or basketball creeping in. Don't want that, do we? I certainly don't. The only stat that remotely concerns me is the one in the top left-hand, top right-hand corner, the one with a score. I've seen a lot of this nonsense creep in of late. XG, expected goals. Go away, please. Opta stats have got a lot to answer for, because you then get into conversations with some type of people who start to quote you all these sort of stats as if they're of interest or of relevance, when really they're just reeling off numbers. They're boring. I think that's my major gripe, especially with the TV, that one. Now, the more the tournament has gone on, of course, the more I'm reading and seeing that the organisation has been good, which is great to hear. Although it does still seem to be 2 hours to get into grounds, being the advisory, which is, it's quite a long time, isn't it? Now, FIFA. Couldn't have an episode without speaking about them, could I? How to ruin too much of a good thing. Ghana's Freed from Desire song. Much like the White Stripes' Seven Nation Army track, FIFA and UEFA have the habit of sucking the life out of some songs, don't they? Freed from Desire was originally released in 1996 in Italy. It made number 2 in the UK charts a year later. I remember it being played at half-time in Marseille when we played Russia in 2016. It was great atmosphere when that came on. But I'm done with it now. To give you an idea, that song featured on Now 38. The Now series is currently on number 113. I'm currently looking at the 2001 charts to see what FIFA are thinking about using next. Now, a few of these seem quite a while ago now, but I just want to mention them. Japan beating Germany was a surprise. And that was the game where the Germans lined up for their team photo and all covered their mouths after they'd been denied to wear the One Love armband. Quite a powerful statement, that one, I thought. Canada taking on Belgium, giving them a good run for their money, was good to see. And then especially when they went ahead against Croatia. But following 4 Croat goals, the Canadians knew their time was up in Qatar. But inspiration for that country, I think, going forward. And what with them part hosting the next World Cup, times, I think, could be good for Canada. Spain beating Costa Rica 7-0. Sure, a lot of goals, but I think you need to take into account the quality of the opposition, much like Iran in our first game. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo. Whatever you may think of him, he became the first player to score in 5 World Cups when he scored the opener against Ghana for Portugal. Previously, he'd scored against Iran in Germany 2006, North Korea in South Africa 2010. He scored against Ghana in Brazil 2014. And he famously scored a hat-trick against Spain in Russia and followed up with one against Morocco. And then, of course, broke the record when he scored in Qatar. The World Cup is the one trophy that really eludes him, isn't it? Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Champions League, European Championships, Nations League. He has won the lot, apart from the World Cup. I'm sure many will already have him up there with Pelé, Maradona, but both of those have a World Cup winners' medal or 2. So what would it take for Ronaldo to be in the same breath as those 2, Pelé and Maradona? Can Portugal win it? Would that do it? It would make him up there with them, but I don't think Portugal's name is on this, I'm afraid. Now, I know I've mentioned empty seats before, and whilst some of the games appear to be more full now, when you get a glimpse of the corporate seats, usually above and behind the dugouts, these seem to be empty. I was watching Uruguay, South Korea, there was no one there. The only reason I can think this may be is because some of these games are on during the day, and you would imagine corporate seats would be taken by employees of the businesses. But whilst these games are on, they may be currently at work. I don't know, I'm just surmising, but it's not good to see. But what I do love is it doesn't matter what game you're watching on the telly, you can always spot a St George's cross on display, hanging behind the goal, hanging just off centre, along the touchline. It's great. I love seeing St George's crosses there. And whilst on the subject of flags, great to see the England Hope and Glory surfer flags on a couple of occasions on the telly. It was organised by the guys at Block 109. Looked great. Well done, guys. Well done. And after a shaky start, the African sides have started to score some goals. Cameroon, Serbia was pretty entertaining, as was Ghana, South Korea. When was it that Pele said an African side would win the World Cup? Was it 2006 or was it 2010? I can't remember now, but I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say it's not going to be this World Cup, though. Belgium. I had a funny feeling that this wouldn't be a tournament for them. I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or not, but losing to Morocco was a bit of a surprise, with it being only Morocco's third ever World Cup tournament victory. And Qatar. As a team, nothing. This isn't their level. It might be their party, but they're not good enough for it. Say what you like about them hosting, and everything aside it, there is a reason why they have never previously made it to the finals of a World Cup. They're awful. And as my good friend Dan said to me, this tournament, they've frankly caused no great shakes. Right, time to talk Wales, England's final group game. Barring any crazy results, we were already through, weren't we? Here to talk through it with me is Matt Asprey, England fan. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Russell. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well now. Especially we are through to the knockouts once again.
Yes, we are through. But actually, it was a clip that you retweeted earlier today when we were recording this, which is a Wednesday. You did retweet a very valid clip from Bobby Robson saying, getting out the group doesn't have to be fashionable. Just get out the group and then you can start getting down to business end. So I think there's a lot to... I think that clip really sums up how England got through the group.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, how can I put it nicely, sofa supporters who maybe don't understand Bobby Robson's way of thinking. But to be honest, mine as well. Yeah, it's great to play entertaining football and win every game. But you've just got to get through the group. Doesn't matter how you do it, get through the group.
Yeah, completely agree. And we've got to, I think sometimes people keep forgetting this is a very unique World Cup in terms of when it's taking place. So a lot of the teams, like the European ones, some of them have had a week or 2 weeks off before this tournament, while a lot of the England players are going straight in after what has been a hectic domestic schedule over here. You know, mostly it's been 2 games a week, whether it be European or cup ties. So I think at some point the burnout was going to come. And I think that came in the USA game, but I was joking that the USA game was like the team was on Gatorade for USA. They were just like all over the shop. But I think last night's performance against Wales is exactly what the team needed. Not exactly the most glamorous first half, but that second half, the euphoria, the feel-good factor, it seems to have done the team a world of good ahead of the round of 16 game.
Do you think Gareth set up that game, the first half, as if just to take it easy, don't do anything silly, play it at a tempo of, I don't know, 60%, let's say, get through the first half, we'll see what happens, and then come out for the second half and we'll really turn it up to 11 or whatever? Because you could see there was a total transition from the first half to the second half. And that could be coupled with Wales just flaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point you bring up about the first half. I think what we've always got to bear in mind when these home nations clashes as such is that we'd expect we'd expected Wales to be up for it, you know, come straight out the blocks and, you know, being, you know, sort of the first 15 minutes or so, it being a bit chaotic, but Wales were happy to sit back and give England time on the ball. Even though there weren't that many chances, I was expecting a lot more, you know, crunching tackles from Wales or, you know, just like trying to rough England up. I know it was very played upon. You got this game being played in what is a tournament where, you know, the atmosphere ain't as visceral. It looked like there was more England fans there anyway. But I think I didn't expect Wales, regardless, because there was pride on the line. I thought they'd be a lot more up for it than they were. Maybe because it was tiredness in the camp. Maybe that Iran defeat really really put them down. I mean, I watched that game and, you saw when Iran scored 2 quick goals, even though Wales were down to 10 men, Wales just looked dejected. So maybe it was some of that energy seeping through as well. So, yeah, mate, I think Southgate has had enough of these home nation derby matches now where he sort of gets what happens. The Scotland game was probably in the Euros last year is probably a good warm up for that because, I think obviously with it being in England as well, that the vibe around that game is so much more magnified. And while the magnitude around this Wales game was big, it didn't feel like, for England, for England fans, including myself, it felt like it's another game. Yep. It was more, I wanted England to look good rather than, try and make it a match for the ages. While, Wales, I just didn't expect to see. I didn't expect to play how they played.
Yeah, for a team that needed 4 goals, they went a funny way about it. There was nothing from them. As you say, I was really expecting a first 5 minutes of crunching tackles. That local derby mentality just wasn't there at all.
No, I think as well it's down to the age of that squad. I mean, Aaron Ramsey, Gareth Bale, the poster boys of that Welsh team. I'm going to be brutally honest. If Wales didn't qualify for that World Cup, I think they might have thought about retiring, to be honest, if they hadn't qualified. Obviously they did. And, with it being such a historic moment, I mean, if I was in their position, I'd still be like, I'm going to play, even if it means I've got to go in on one leg.
Yeah.
But I think it was evident in Wales's first game against the USA. It wasn't Gareth Bale or Aaron Ramsey that was pulling the strings in that second half, for example. It was Kiefer Moore. So who made the difference. So I think that says a lot that the fact now, I think it's going to be difficult for them, but I think it's because Wales in that squad are carrying a few bodies which really shouldn't have been there. But, you can't fault them for doing it because it's a once in a lifetime thing probably for most of those players.
Yeah, no, too right. Well, we all know that football now, World Cups is a squad game, and Gareth really implemented that yesterday. He knew pretty much we were through, barring as I say, some crazy results. Changed it around. We had Walker come in, Henderson, Rashford, and Foden. The call for Foden to come in was getting louder as the days went on leading up to the game, and he could have sort of lived up to it, didn't he? In the end. Yeah,
I mean, it always happens with England matches, doesn't it? In a tournament, if one player doesn't play, it's like a riot will ensue. But no, Foden and Rashford did what they needed to do, was to give Southgate a headache ahead of Senegal on Sunday. And the first half they weren't really in it, but then it took Southgate just to swap them to the other sides of the pitch, and they were flawless. And I think Foden was told, stop worrying about passing the ball off. Have a run at this Wales team, because it's more likely not you're going to draw a foul and put it in a good position. That's exactly what happened for the first goal, was that he got fouled, puts in a perfect position for the free kick, and then Marcus Rashford puts it in. But I think for Foden and Rashford to make a claim for a starting place in future games, I think they could have come at a better time.
Exactly. I mean, especially Rashford, the confidence that you could see just came in the second half of that game. He had an opportunity in first 10, 15 minutes of the game, which the keeper saved. But the free kick that he put in, that was out of Beckham's sort of playbook, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it when it went in. I mean, I say it every time usually when a good goal goes in, but coming from Rashford as well, it's sort of, it seems to be a huge redemption arc. And I was reading about the game as well after all the post-match and things like that. I'll keep forgetting that, because Rashford hasn't been in an England squad for a number of international games. Yeah. So you forget that his last time in an England shirt was that penalty loss to Italy when he missed. And, that seemed to really take his career on a downward trajectory. And it's taken over 8 year and a half essentially to get him back to where he is now, and he seems to be enjoying himself. He was playing with a smile on his face, and you could tell he'd ran himself into the ground. I mean, coming off the pitch when he was subbed off, I mean, he was just about walking off. So, it's just great to see him enjoying his football again. And after what happened last summer, it's the same with Saka as well. It's just great to see this tournament has given those players that got a horrible amount of abuse after losing to Italy on penalties really redeemed themselves, and now they've put themselves back in the good books of many England fans.
Yeah, well, he got his second goal in England's third with a nice individual effort, but squeezed in between that. And I don't actually know what the actual time difference was between Rashford's first goal and Foden's goal was, but it's got to be, was it just shy of a minute or just over a minute? But it was a great cross from Harry Kane for Foden it was put on a plate, wasn't it, for him to just tap home.
Yeah, well, while Harry Kane ain't scoring goals, he's setting them up, isn't he? I mean, that second goal, it did come very quick. I mean, I think I glanced at my phone briefly, looked up, and then there we were crossing the ball here and Foden putting it away. So, but no, Kane, while he hasn't been scoring, he's been really instrumental in getting the ball at the pitch and being a bit of a deep line playmaker, even though he leads our forward line. I think the amazing thing is with Kane as well was that on that delivery into the box, it didn't look like where Foden was. It was like instinct. So, he got past the Wales player, and then he was literally in line with the 6-yard box, and then crossed it in without even looking, and Foden was there. So clearly it must have been something they were working on in training or something like that, because it's very rare those sort of things come off even if you're not looking. So I think it's testament to the training the players are putting in, and yeah, I mean, again, Foden needed the goal just to cap off what a great night he had.
Yeah, with regards to Kane, I must admit, I thought it would have been an ideal opportunity to have dropped him, but sort of replaced him with Callum Wilson, because obviously there's the talk about his foot. If you're going for a scan, I think clearly there's a slight sort of thought of there's something wrong. He may say totally nothing wrong. He's absolutely fine, but it's not going to take much, I thought, that'd knock his glass ankles and could sort of put us in jeopardy for the round of 16. But he appears to be all right. But it is good that I thought that Wilson came on, and we have got this bit of squad rotation going around. Yeah,
I mean, it's something that was quite prevalent from the 2018 World Cup in our last group game, because that was a different scenario. We were basically through, and that Belgian game was dead rubber, and Southgate used that as an opportunity to give some of those who hadn't been playing a chance. But no, I think, as you said, the depth that this England team has got is amazing. I mean, we're taking Walker off and bringing Trent Alexander-Arnold on. We had Calvin Phillips come on, and yeah, I mean, Callum Wilson is fired up for this tournament because he has earned a right to be there. He forced his way into the squad, and I do want to see him play a bit more often. And I think an injury to Kane is coming, because it usually happens with England. There will be a big injury. There usually is with an international tournament. I'm trying not to be a bearer of bad news, but the Senegal game is the one where I would most likely see that happening, purely because of how physical they are. And I think Southgate's just got to keep an eye on that. Maybe Kane just needs to keep going, but I think he needs to be a bit more, I think the manager needs a bit more protective of him. If, for example, during the Iran game, he should have come off when he was on the floor. Yeah. And then I don't think we would be in this position, but he kept him on. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And, whenever there's tackles flying in with Kane involved, I think it's going to be looking through your fingers at the television, I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to Senegal in a moment. But one thing I just want to bring up, we're talking on the 30th of November, so the Wednesday. Ben White has withdrawn from the squad for personal reasons, and wish him well for whatever those reasons that they may be. But in that position, that centre-back position, we've got Harry Maguire, and obviously John Stones there. Harry Maguire, he's having the time of his life, isn't he? Especially after all the negative press leading up to the tournament?
Yeah, I think he enjoys England camps. I think a lot of the players do, actually. They see it as a bit of a safe haven. I think we might have talked about this before, but I think Harry Maguire, a few of the players out of form, they relish the England campus. It just seems like, from what I've seen on social media, they're just all having a good time. Like, compared to, it's been brought up numerous times, with this Southgate era, that it doesn't seem as divided, it doesn't seem as tense, but they all just seem to have a great time. And today they've had a day off. They're just still chilling by the pool or roaming around Qatar, roaming around Doha, things like that. So it seems to me there's a lot of, everyone's at ease in this England camp. And I don't think that's the case at Manchester United, where it's a club that's in a bit of a mess. So I think Harry Maguire enjoys England camps. And also, that it's clear that he's got the fans behind him. I mean, he's got his own chant that manages to be sung numerous times during a friendly, a qualifier, or an away trip. So, yeah, I think that USA performance, if it weren't been with John Stones, we would have lost the game. So, he's had an amazing tournament, but, he always steps up in an England shirt. So the only thing he needs to stop is stop running with the ball and putting crosses in. If he can stop that, that'll be fine. Because there's been a few instances where he runs into the box, he crosses, and it's just like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, as I say, Senegal in the round of 16, team that we've never played before. And as soon as I sort of realised that we've got the potential of Senegal, never played them before, I was taken back to Cameroon of 1990. Never played them before. Algeria 2010, never played them before. And especially 1990, obviously it was different times, but and the internet wasn't around where you could look at other sides and be as such aware as what we are now. But we can't underestimate Senegal, can we? No,
and I think these more unknown teams, if you like to call it that, in terms of like being able to do research and see many of them, they are dangerous. I mean, Senegal. I watched the Senegal-Ecuador game before because they played the same day as England did, and they have tremendous heart and courage and determination to get the result they need. And we can't forget they are the current African champions, so they have got, they're no mugs, this Senegal team, and I think it's going to be a bit similar to that Cameroon game in 1990. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be physical. I would hope Southgate opts to pick a bit more of a physical team rather than a play beautiful football team, because Senegal are going to be running around like mad hatters. They're just going to be. I always notice the African teams and their fitness is miles above the European and South American teams. It is every time. They don't stop running, and as well, their fans will be bringing the noise. I think their fans have been amazing. I'll give them a shout out in this tournament. They've been amazing. There's not many of them. They just make a racket. So it's going to be difficult for England to communicate. And also they've got the extra motivation of Papa Dupa Diop, who passed away 2 years ago yesterday, and Koulibaly had an armband on, which is a tribute to him. So, that's extra motivation for them. And the way they battled back against Ecuador yesterday was impressive. And even though, we all thought Senegal weren't going to do well because Mane's not there, but I think that's brought the team close together. And I think England just need to be ready for what is going to be a relentless game of football. And it might have to come down to a scrappy goal or something to get past them.
Intriguing game. And of course, no one wants to mention it, but now we're in the knockouts. If it does end in a draw, we know how those games go.
Yeah, don't want to think about it.
No. Okay, then. Matt, as always, great to speak to you.
No worries, Russell. Cheers for having me on.
Thanks to Matt Asprey there. No doubt we'll speak again soon to him. Now we know we have been drawn against Senegal in the first knockout game. It's the round of 16. So let's cross to Dakar now and speak with journalist Adame, who regularly contributes to the Twitter account at Senegal English. Adame, hello there.
Yeah, good evening, Russell, and how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yourself? Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much, and you too. Congratulations for England's qualification for the next leg. And yeah,
I mean, Senegal v England never happened before, has it?
yeah, it has never happened before. This is going to be the first time these two teams will be meeting either in an international tournament or in a friendly match. Previously, Senegal played, as far as I remember, twice in England. The first was a friendly match versus Ghana, and it took place in, I think it was in Leeds. And the second one was before the Olympic Games in 2012 in London with Coventry when we played against Oman in a knockout game, and Senegal hopefully qualified for the Olympic Games. So these are the two times I think Senegal has played in England.
Oh, well, there you go. That's something I never knew. I mean, take me to Dakar there in Senegal. How is Senegal reacting to going through to the round of 16?
Yesterday, when we qualified, when we bet Ecuador, that was kind of a joy everywhere. You could see people singing, dancing. You could hear the horns of the cars. You could see the colors, the flag of everywhere. You could see the colors of Senegal, like the one I'm wearing. Everyone was wearing their jerseys, and they were celebrating, demonstrating, shouting. So that was like it was not as Senegal won the last AFCON in February, but it was like Senegal won a trophy. This is so because many people were not expecting that Senegal would be able to do it when Sadio Mane was ruled out for the World Cup. Many people, less courage, and they were less optimistic with Sadio Mane missing. But hopefully they made it. That's the reason why the joy was outstanding yesterday. And knowing that people are going to meet England, they know that they're going to face a bigger team than us, a stronger team with talented forwards, talented midfielders, talented defenders. England could even, this is what people say around here, England could even put next side by side two different starting 11s that could rival to any other country in this World Cup. That's the reason why people understand that it's going to be a very tough game. But yes, Senegal doesn't have anything to lose anymore. That's why people are preparing this match with the most of humility and pleasure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're not going to underestimate Senegal by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we've seen, obviously, you are AFCON winners. Okay, yes, you had it with Sadio Mane there, and unfortunately, he's not in the squad this time. But you've qualified through to the World Cup. You come through the group. You started by, you lost to the Netherlands, then you beat Qatar, and then Ecuador. So you and with quality players, obviously, you've got plenty of players who play here in England in the Premier League. Obviously, Edouard Mendy is Chelsea goalkeeper. So there are very good players that you've got.
Yeah, like you said, Senegal has the players who are currently in the British Premier League. You named Edouard Mendy, who plays in Chelsea. You named also Khalid Koulibaly, captain. There is also Idrissa Gana Gueye, who is in Everton. There is Kouyaté, who plays in his team. Sheffield. So it means that the Ismaila Sarr also is playing in Watford in the second league, in addition to Nottingham Forest for Cheikhou Kouyaté. Nottingham Forest. And there is also Iliman Jai, who plays in Championship in Sheffield United. So it means that, there is some talent in the Senegalese team. And if you remember, you spoke about the defeat against the Netherlands in the first match. That was one of the matches Senegal was expecting to get a positive result from. But unfortunately, if you remember, I don't know if you watched that game, but until 85 minutes, Senegal was doing pretty well. They contained the defense from the Netherlands. But unfortunately, because of a small mistake, one of the midfielders, when Kouyaté got injured and ruled out, he was replaced by Pape Gueye. He was supposed... The instruction was that he should not let Frankie de Jong free of passing. But unfortunately, in 1 or 2 seconds, Frankie de Jong got enough time to make a good cross for Cody Gakpo, who is a very good forward, and he scored. And afterwards, Senegal tried to equalize, rushed out and left a lot of space behind, and there was a counter-attacking, and then Jansen scored the second goal in additional time. So it means that it was a kind of defeat you don't necessarily deserve, because at that time I don't think the overall structure of the match deserved a loss from Senegal. But anyway, this is high competition. Small details, they matter, right? You have to account for types of mistake you can make. But immediately after, Senegal knew that there was Qatar behind, and then also Ecuador. So the instruction was clear. Senegal has to win these two other games. That's the reason if you see the starting 11 from the first match to the second, it was slightly different. The coach decided to put on a rather offensive team, and hopefully Senegal scored 3 goals. And then in the third game, what was much more difficult, because Ecuador, one statistic from Ecuador, from the Ecuador side, they out of their last 8 games, they only took 1 goal, and it was the goal they took against the Netherlands with Cody Gakpo. You see, Brazil and Argentina, they knocked their head on a stone when they faced Ecuador. So you see that it was all the more difficult for Senegal, as it was necessary for Senegal to win in order to go to the next to the round of 16. So you see that it was very hard. But hopefully, yesterday you saw the game; it was very tough. Senegal got a goal, and then immediately after the equalization from the Ecuadorians, Senegal scored a second goal by Koulibaly, the captain who plays in Chelsea. So it means that Senegal now, I'm telling you, Russell, Senegal doesn't have anything to lose anymore. Even if we know that England was stronger, we're happy to be here.
Well, your manager, Aliou Cisse, he's obviously built that pride, that passion, and the desire for the Senegal team and the players there who are playing for him. Of course, he's got English links as well. He formerly played at Birmingham City and at Portsmouth. So obviously he's a well-respected manager over in Senegal, is he?
Absolutely. Yesterday, I was on a TV show where we were speaking about the game, and what I said was that Aliou Cisse, on no account, is clear that he is the most important figure of Senegalese football history. I'm not saying he's the most talented. He is not absolutely the most talented, but the most prominent figure in the history of our football is undoubtedly Aliou Cisse. You said it. He played in the Premier League after leaving France, Portsmouth, Birmingham, etc. Even though his career has not been outstanding in club, international team, he led the team in 2002 when we reached the quarterfinals in 2002 in Japan and South Korea. And at the time, he was the captain of the team, right? And then immediately after, he became the head coach when the French Alain Judas left in 2015 after being knocked out in the first round of the AFCON in 2015. And ever since he has been here, it was 7 years ago. Let me remind you of something. When Cisse arrived in 2015, a lot of people were in favor of his appointment as a head coach. But on the other side, there is another group of people who are saying that Cisse is not experienced enough to be able to manage this team. Why are we appointing him while he doesn't have any experience other than when he was the deputy head coach in the Olympic Games in 2012 when Senegal reached the quarterfinals as well. So, but hopefully the president of the federation accepted to maintain him as the head of the team. And the first AFCON he qualified at was in 2017. Senegal at the time had one of the best teams, and Senegal was expected even to go until the end to win that AFCON because we had very good players, including Sadio Mane, Kalidou Koulibaly, João Baldé, Keita, Idrissa Gana, Ismaila Sarr, etc. But unfortunately, Senegal was eliminated after the penalty knockout in the quarterfinals by Cameroon, who ultimately will win the tournament. That was a big disappointment. Yeah. And everybody was saying this has to be sacked. But the federation maintained. What comes next? World Cup in 2018, final of the AFCON in 2019. He won the AFCON again last February, and then he returned to the World Cup, and he just qualified for the second leg. All this means that Cisse, no doubt, he is our man, the man of our football.
Seems like the Senegal FA had a plan in place and stuck to it. And look where you are now. You're reaping the benefits. Yeah, you mentioned the 2002 game. Obviously, the 2002 tournament. Where it all kicked off with that amazing shock win, wasn't it, against France? And you went on to lose to Turkey. But back then you had these players that ring bells with me. There was obviously Henry Camara, El Hadj Diouf, who's played for Liverpool, Papa Bouba Diop, all these sort of regular names for Senegal that English people will recognise.
Absolutely.
What do you remember of 2002? And can you see another shock, just like that France game?
Yeah, 2002 was one of the most beautiful histories of our football. Like you said, there were some of the players used to play in England. You named a few of them. Maybe there is also, we can add also Andy Faye, who at that time was in Portsmouth, and also other players, including Ferdinand Coley, who afterwards went to play in the second league. I think it was in Middlesbrough, if I'm not mistaken. So It means that even that group of people, they knew also the British Premier League, which has been over the decades the greatest championship, the toughest one, which is known to be the British Premier League. Yeah, in 2000 it was nice. I was wearing at that time. I was in college, I think.
Right.
But yeah, it was a big remembrance because everywhere in the streets we were here. Because remember when we bet France, it was really something unexpected because a lot of French players at that time, they were saying maybe Senegal is the weakest of the group, and it was clear for them that they would beat Senegal easily because at that time David Trezeguet was the goal scorer in Italy in the Calcio. Thierry Henry was the goal scorer in the Premier League, and also Djibril Cissé was the goal scorer in the French league. So all of them, they were here in that team, and they were expected to be big teams with Zinedine Zidane, being the best player of the world, who just won the Champions League with Real Madrid against Leverkusen. So it means that at that time Senegal was really the small Goliath, the small David, who was to face Goliath, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully, we did it. But Bouba Diop, may he rest in peace. Yesterday was the year 2 of his death, and it was a big symbol for the Senegalese side. If you remember, Khalidou Koulibaly on his armband, he got the number 19, which used to be Bouba Diop's number with the national jersey. So all this means that 2002 was really one of the best histories of our football. And of course, if you ask me how I lived it, I was really happy, even though I was much younger than I am now.
Great stuff. Great to hear that.
Yeah.
Obviously, England are the opposition, and we had a 6-2 victory over Iran. We had a dismal 0-0 draw with America, and a 3-0 victory over Wales. How do you see England? I mean, do you think they should be playing better? What's the perception in Senegal of England?
Let me be honest with you. Some people here sometimes compare Gareth Southgate with Aliou Cissé because whenever he goes to a big tournament, he does positive results, but yet he is still criticized at home. So I guess this is somewhat the case with Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
Even though last World Cup he played the semi-final, the last Euro he went to the final. So it means that he's doing pretty well. He's doing a good job, even though he has a lot of talent. Let's say it. But it's approximately the same for Aliou Cissé. But from here in Senegal, how we see this team of England, we see it as the team which symbolizes the greatness of the British champion, the British League, the British Premier League, because most of them, if you look at the right backs, you have Kieran Trippier, you have Trent Alexander-Arnold, you have Kyle Walker, and you have even some who did not come because Reece James did not come. He was ruled out because of injury. So it means that Senegal here, when you speak about Britain, There are, by the way, a lot of people who support England from Senegal here. And whenever you speak about the same people, as the majority here, they watch the British Premier League. They know all the players, and they say that this team is really strong because if you consider the forwards as well, you have Bukayo Saka, you have Raheem Sterling, you have Carl Wilson, you have the captain Harry Kane, you have Phil Foden. So what the hell can Senegal do facing this team? You see what I mean? Yeah. So that's the reason why I was saying to you a moment ago that Senegal, they know that they have few chances, even though it's a tournament. Anything can happen because Senegal bet France in 2002. Tunisia just bet France 1-0, even though France, the best players did not play today. But people understand that it will be very difficult for them to beat England. But they're happy that I have qualified because Sadio Mane is not here and he's the best player of the team. He is the one who was expected to do everything. He is not here. So if Senegal reaches the round of 16s, it's already fine. It doesn't mean, however, that they will not play till the end of the game and they will try their chances. They know they have a few chances in this team. Among these chances, let me tell you something. People believe that England's midfield is a bit misbalanced. The focus is on the defenders and the forwards. Most of the time, he is playing with two players who can be Jude and Bellingham and Rice. So in this midfield, sometimes the other players who play in the wings, most of the time they don't make enough efforts to come back and defend when they are not in possession of the ball. And Senegal, people have started saying that we can have a chance facing this team if there is a low block of players, if we have offensive transitions, if we have counter-attack opportunities, this can be exploited all the more. And this is my viewpoint. I don't like Pickford. I don't believe Pickford is the best goalkeeper of England. Right. I don't know. Maybe it's because he was here before Pope and Ramsdale. But if it depends on me, I'll definitely play Nick Pope because for me, Pope is the best goalkeeper. But the coach has his reasons. And I believe that maybe in this game, let's say that maybe Pickford will make one mistake and Senegal can have a goal from that mistake.
Well, we shall see. No, it's great to speak to you and hear your insight into it.
Thank you.
Now, I mean, just one thing for the listeners. Just tell us a little bit about Senegal, not the team, but as a country. What's Senegal famous for?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Russell. But if you want me to speak to you about Senegal, let's say that we have a lot of tourism sites. Tourism is very interesting here. And including this, we have some islands in the coastal area. Many people, including from England, each year they come here and stay for some time. Other than that, I like our national dish, which is called Cheboujen. Cheboujen is a mix of rice and fish. Cheb means rice. Jen means fish. If you come here in Senegal, Russell, don't miss the Cheboujen from Senegal because that's one of the best things we can sell to the world. And whenever foreigners come here, before they go, they say Cheboujen. Yes, Cheboujen. Yes. So the English people, if ever you come to Senegal, ask for the Cheboujen, the rice and fish. Very famous around here.
You've sold me on it. I need to come and try that. It's always great to hear just a little bit more about a country that perhaps obviously we've never played before. Adama, look, thank you very much for joining us on the Three Lions podcast. Appreciate your time. I want to say all the very best. May the best team win. Let's hope it's a good game.
Yeah, may the best team win. And whatever happens, I'll be happy because I'll be supporting England behind if ever they qualify because I'm a big Arsenal fan. Oh. And we have Bukayo Saka and we have Ramsdale in the team. So let's go.
I'll tell you what, if England go out, I will follow Senegal.
Oh, thank you, Russell. But whatever happens, I'll be fine. Hopefully, whatever happens, if England qualifies, I'll be behind them and I'll be supporting them for sure.
Great stuff. Now, amidst all the World Cup action, you may have missed the sad news of the passing of a couple of former Three Lions. As I always like to do on the podcast is pay my own tributes to whoever has passed away. If they've worn the England shirt, then they deserve all the recognition. Now, first up, David Johnson passed away on Wednesday the 23rd of November, aged 71. He was born in Liverpool in 1951. As a striker, he began his career with Everton. Then he moved to Ipswich, then managed by Bobby Robson, before going back home, but this time to the red half of the city, where he won the League Championship, a League Cup and a European Cup with Liverpool. He did, though, return to Everton in 1982 before his career took him to the likes of Barnsley, Manchester City and Preston North End. During his career, he was capped by England 8 times, scoring 5. He was selected by Don Revie, where he scored twice on his debut at home to Wales in 1975 in a 2-2 draw, then won against Scotland in his next game, which was a 5-1 victory. He didn't play from October 1975 until February 1980 for England, which was when Ron Greenwood was manager, and he scored in 1980 against then world champions Argentina in a match where Diego Maradona was seen wearing an England shirt at full time. Then, on the 27th of November, Maurice Norman passed away at the age of 88. Maurice was a squad member of the 1958 team that went to Sweden, but didn't play a part in that competition. He was then selected for the 1962 World Cup squad, where he played all 4 games as a defender alongside Bobby Moore. He earned 23 caps for England between 1962 and 1964. He began his career at Norwich City, but moved to Tottenham Hotspur, where he played 357 times and was a major part of their double-winning team of 1961. Unfortunately, he became injured in 1965, which put a premature end to his career. Condolences go to both their families and friends at this time. Many thanks go to Matt Astbury and also to Adama from Senegal. You can find his contributions over at Senegal English on Twitter. I'll link to him and, of course, that on the Three Lions podcast Twitter account. Cheers for tuning in. Always appreciated. Enjoy the Senegal game wherever you may watch it. I'm hoping to speak with some England fans who have been over in Qatar for a special episode coming very soon. If I'm lucky, I might be able to get that out in the next couple of days. So stay subscribed and you won't miss it. One more thing before I go. Just wanted to say well done to Jill Scott, crowned Queen of the Jungle on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I have to say it's not my usual thing to watch, especially with one of the participants in it this year. But as the saying goes, you can only beat what's put in front of you. And Jill Scott did. Well done, you. I'll catch up with you again very soon. Thanks for listening. Cheers.